team titles on Raw. They don't have a match. The Raw tag team titles aren't featured on TLC as far as I can see right now.
Oh, by the way, because I'm a completist with our Go Find It, it's called First Impression, if you look for that SNL skit.
Oh, the name of the skit? Okay.
Yes,
Thank you,
yes.
Eric.
No problem. That's what I'm here for.
So, very quick, before I get into the tag team thing, who do you pick, Seth Rollins or Dean Ambrose? I realized after the last one, I should write down our picks, because then I was like, I don't remember who we picked. I'm like 80% I remembered, but
Right.
So I didn't even like score up the last time, but go ahead, Seth and Dean.
I'm going to say Dean because I think they're going to continue, but of course, I could be wrong and it'll be Seth because they're wrapping it all up. But I'm going to say Dean, assuming that this will continue.
I am also going Dean.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I didn't realize the AOP Drake Maverick versus Gable and Rude match was for the titles until they won the belts. Because when you have that type of match and you've got sort of a pipsqueak manager as your third, you know that dude's being pinned. So I thought they were going to pin Drake, and that would earn them a title shot.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they beat them, now they get a title shot against AOP 2-on-2. No, it was for the titles, and I feel bad for AOP because are they, maybe they'll go back and forth. I do miss teams trading titles back and forth like the old days, but is everything coming off them because of the P? Like they just want to get the belts away from the P guys, and that whole creative choice, which sucks,
It does. It's weird, especially because we were saying how AOP got the NXT call up and then didn't do anything for months, and then they won the title. I will say again, we probably put too much into this, but who knows with the whole Hulu cut thing. While the B team were the champs, the tag teams were getting like no Hulu time. With AOP, it was like every other week. So it was, I guess, a step in the right direction.
So they have elevated the division a tiny bit.
Yes. And now we'll see what happens with the Gable and Rude.
I forgot to mention also that along with our technical difficulties and our various mic issues, which we'll see how we sound after this, my hearing is also totally shit because I went to a extremely loud Ministry concert last night. Like I've been to concerts, I've been going to concerts for a long time. We both like going to shows, don't we, Eric?
We do.
I went to Nine Inch Nails. Before that, I went to Queens of the Stone Age, and those were appropriately loud. Like arena loud, okay, I get it. It wasn't so soft that I was like, this is annoying, but it was also not so blaringly loud. Mind you, I don't mind things being super loud. I remember my ears ringing after concerts from years and years ago. That growing up, it seemed to be everything was loud.
Yeah,
this was the loudest show I'd been to, I'll just say, in a while. And it was weird because I've been to shows at this venue before, and I thought I knew what the sound was. I was like, oh, it's a good sound. And certainly the opening act, Carpenter Brute, had the normal sound that I was used to. But then when they were sound checking for Ministry, and they would like hit a drum or play a strum on the guitar, and it was so effing loud, I was like, oh shit, I am going to die. Because, so it was extremely loud. And, Ministry, it's meant to be played loud and listened to loud, but this was quite thunderous, Eric. Anyway, so I have a ringing in my ear is what I'm saying too.
I'm sorry about the ringing in the ears. I hope the show was enjoyable otherwise.
Oh, it's excellent.
Oh, good. See, my only time seeing Ministry was Lollapalooza before you and I started our big run of Lollapalooza.
Well, this was Lollapalooza. This was Lollapalooza '92, and this was your first experience, I believe, with bonfires.
Yes, and this was at Irvine Meadows, which there was a lawn at Irvine Meadows, but it was a little opposite of what you would expect at some places, which is that the lawn was like up top. So we had it's the crappy cheap seats that aren't seats. I mean, unless you want to sit on the lawn, because there were seats, all in front of the stage. But then there was this upper place that was just an open lawn. So it was like general admission, but instead of being at the front, you're in the back. And things got primal with Ministry, man, because multiple bonfires broke out with, giant mosh pits around them.
Well, you can't just have one bonfire.
No, there was 3 that I recall. and it was intense.
And this was before bonfires ruined, what was it, Woodstock 99 or whatever the hell that was? Yeah, so, yeah.
Well, a lot ruined Woodstock 99, but yeah. So that was and I was really into
Scarecrow.
New World.
New
Scarecrow
World
too. Yeah, NWO.
Well, that Eric, they played that song last night. So the way the Ministry's tour worked right now, I guess, they played their full new album. I don't know, 50 minutes or something, their new album. And then they basically went off stage for like a half intermission show / encore, and then came back with 8 old songs in a row.
Okay.
So it was as if the encore was it wasn't an encore, it was just the show was split in 2. Mm-hmm. So it was
I will say,
it was really awesome. And they played NWO, and man, the energy in that room was amazing.
That was the bonfire energy. And little young Eric had the NWO the cassette single, and man, would I blast that very, very loudly.
So for those wrestling fans out there, which is all of you listening, before the NWO and WCW, and before Hulk Hogan introduced New World Order, New World Order was a phrase before that, and Ministry very famously off their album Psalm 69 had a track called New World Order, or NWO, and it sampled George Herbert Walker Bush saying New World Order in the song. Ministry has a lot of samples and does a lot of political style songs.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew this, Eric, but years later on their 2006 album, Houses of the Mole, they had a follow-up Bush song called No W, where they sampled GW. And they... Obviously, right now they have one that samples Trump, because that's kind of Ministry's their gimmick. So all of them great songs. And moving on from Ministry into the new Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles. No stipulations again, just a one-on-one match for the WWE Championship. I'm going to go with Daniel Bryan.
Yep, me too.
Okay, I'll put you too.
I mean, he's like, with new gimmick, new attitude. Just feels like he's. I think he has to win.
I want to catch your opinion on SmackDown. Really cool to see him fight Mustafa Ali.
Very cool.
Don't appreciate the fact that a lot of cool big moves happened during the commercial, and I could only see them. They replayed them, but it's not the same.
No,
they happened in this, because when I'm watching on TV, I don't. You're getting a different view of it. They put the match, they do screen and screen, and they put the match up in the corner with the sound off while you watch the commercials. So big moments happened in the tiny box, and I did not like that. But I really like Daniel Bryan's new character. I still will argue, as great as it is, don't have anyone come out and talk for 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. I just don't... as soon as you've moved on to your 5th point, you're done. It is way too long a promo. The most memorable part from it, Eric, is him slapping Ali for driving a SUV.
Yes. I also,
even though he did it because he has a wife and 2 kids.
Right.
So he says, but yeah.
I also like Daniel Bryan with the phrase "carbon hoof print," which I think should be a band.
So should multiple bonfires, by the way.
Right. That was actually, it was it was an interesting, weird touch in the Daniel Bryan thing, is because, of course, he's turned on the crowds, although I think he's got a much better motivation than Dean Ambrose with "You're stinky and maybe you get me sick." I don't know. But, Daniel Bryan is the fickle thing, and now, of course, he's calling them out. Basically, he's doing the "I'm better than you" thing, because, which is a variation of when he was an evil vegan character. But it was funny. There was an interesting moment when he told Mustafa Ali, "Oh yeah, well, they're cheering for you right now, but that won't stick. They're too xenophobic," which is a pretty meta thing.
Yeah, because he went past that pretty quick. It would have been interesting if he dwelled on that a little more.
Right, because I've been so happy. I mean, it probably speaks to him being on 205 Live, but Mustafa Ali is just allowed to be a badass with a pseudo-Mortal Kombat entrance, even though he's a Pakistani guy named Mustafa Ali, who, traditionally, WWE, they certainly are not known for, being leaning away from stereotypes, and going in and often very offensive, amusingly offensive to horribly offensive. So the fact that Mustafa Ali has not had to do anything like that has made me happy. So it was interesting when Daniel Bryan said that, while also being like, I hope they never do, anything like that with Mustafa Ali. While I'm also scared one day they will.
I'll either have to send you, or you can look up on your own, because you weren't watching WCW at the time. But when they went full Mortal Kombat in the late '90s
with Glacier
and Mortis, and like Glacier,
I know Mortis.
Glacier came with his own villains. Like it was like its own storyline where Glacier came in with his own backstory of like evil, like Mortal Kombat style antagonists.
Okay.
And so it was its own little bubble for a while. We both are going with Daniel Bryan. By the way, someone who's better at the internet than me, which is most people, please make a Daniel Bryan, Mustafa Ali, like merge it with that Batman slapping Robin meme. With the SUV comment. Please do that and send it my way. Let's see. I do, going back to Dean and Seth real quick, Renee Young actually mentioned this week that Dean winning that title means more money in her household. Like, she was all for it.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, she was like, she's like, why wouldn't I want him to, like.
I like that.
Renee Young needs that cheddar. So now we move on to Braun Strowman versus Baron Corbin, Corbin's second TLC match. The amount of matches on this card obviously sort of suggests most are going to be quick ones.
Yes.
Hopefully this is the quickest. If it happens at all, I don't know.
Because this, remember SummerSlam had the weird, like, 3 squash match thing happen? Because
I don't want that, but yeah.
I don't want that either, but I'm a little scared we got a variation on that.
Well, especially since this isn't supposed to be even as long as SummerSlam. It's not that kind of show. Baron Corbin, though, hopefully he does win by forfeit, and we don't even have to watch it.
Yeah.
Or Braun just totally demolishes him, and it's really quick. Like that. I mean, I can buy that squash. If it's Braun Strowman, I can buy a squash.
Braun Strowman returning pissed. Yeah, that's fine.
So, do we think this match will happen first before we make our predictions?
It's got to, right? It because it'd be such an anticlimactic thing to be like, for weeks having Baron Corbin say, "Oh, I'm going to win by forfeit."
It's funny because it's like it would be anticlimactic, and yet it's also a match I don't want to see. So I'm torn. Like, is it anticlimactic if it doesn't happen?
It would be funny to me if he did like just come out and go, "Okay, thanks," and then walk away. Like that'd be amazing. But I don't think that's going to happen. So,
it all depends on what Braun's actual medical status is, I guess. But assuming it happens, I'm going with Braun.
Same here.
All right. So we're aligned on all of these picks so far. Let's go into Raw Women's Champion Ronda Rousey versus Nia Jax. And I'm going to go Rousey.
I will as well.
I think so. You as well.
Ronda will eventually win, but it's not going to be at TLC.
Interesting thing to note. I want to know what you picked up on.
Ronda will eventually lose.
Hulu cut-wise, Eric.
Yeah.
This week, they announced at the top of the show that Nia Jax and Ronda Rousey would be sitting in another open forum, like what Bayley and Sasha have been doing. And then come this actual segment, that wasn't it. Like, Nia just started talking, Ronda came out to kick some ass, and it never even got to an open forum. What I just read this morning was they did that, they switched it in the show because Alexa Bliss is actually sick. So she couldn't do her, like, big promo or anything like that, or host the segment. I think she either has a cold or something like that. She's sick. So that's what I heard. But it was interesting that, because it was funny, only on Twitter, the journey of me watching it live and tweeting along with it live, which is something you can't really do as a cord cutter. But Seth Rollins came out at the top of the show, complained about everything wrong with Raw, and then they're like, coming up, an open forum, which is something we all have been complaining about. So it's like they haven't learned a thing. Again, all of this thing where Rollins is after Baron Corbin as the quote-unquote mastermind behind all of Raw's ills, it doesn't mean Raw's getting better. It just means they've diagnosed themselves. Like,
sure.
It's like you go into WebMD and you can figure out what's wrong with you, but you still have to go to the doctor and they're not doing that. But yeah, so it wasn't an open forum. It was just Naya and Rhonda, and it was fine. Yeah.
In full disclosure,